I am a 5'2" female construction manager. What I did when a 6'4" contractor threatened me on site made me a company legend. The first rule of construction management is never show fear. The second rule is never let anyone see you cry. I've lived by these rules for 15 years as one of the few women managing major construction projects in downtown Chicago. But last year, I nearly broke both rules in a single morning pert, until something happened that turned me into what my crew now calls the tiny Terminator. It was day one of a $40 million hotel renovation. I'd just been assigned as lead project manager after my predecessor quit unexpectedly. 90 subcontractors were on site, none of whom had worked with me before, and we were already 3 weeks behind schedule. I was conducting my first site walkthrough when I noticed workers from Granite Steel installing support beams in the wrong location. Perrin, a mistake that would cost thousands to fix and push us further behind schedule. I approached their foreman Perrin, a man I'll call Mike Perrin, who towered over me at around 6'4" and easily 280 pounds. His crew stopped working to watch as I introduced myself. Hi, here's a problem with these installations, I explained, showing him the blueprints according to the specs. These need to be relocated about 3 feet north. Mike barely glanced at the plans before responding. They're fine where they are. They're not, I insisted. If we continue this way, it will interfere with the HVAC system scheduled for installation next week. Mike crossed his massive arms. Look, little lady, I've been doing this for 20 years. Why don't you go back to your air-conditioned trailer and let the men handle the real work? His crew snickered. I felt my face flush but kept my voice steady. I understand you have experience, but the plans are clear. This needs to be corrected today. That's when Mike stepped closer, turning way too close, pant leaning down until his face was inches from mine. Listen, he growled. I don't take orders from little girls playing construction. Either sign off on my work or I'll call your boss and explain how you are holding up the entire project. Every eye on the site was watching in that moment. I could feel my career hanging in the balance. Show weakness now, and I'd never regain control of this project, Perrin, or possibly any future project. I took a deep breath and did something I'd never done before. I pulled out my phone, held it up, and took his picture. What the hell are you doing? He demanded, documenting this conversation. I said calmly. Now I have 3 options. First, I can call your company president Turter, who, by the way, played golf with my father last weekend, Purdon, and explain why Granite Steel will be removed from this $4 million contract. Mike's face reddened, but I continued before he could speak. Second, I can call OSHA and request an immediate site inspection, focusing specifically on Granite safety protocols, which I've noticed are already questionable. I nodded toward his workers, several of whom weren't wearing proper safety gear. Or third, you can move these beams to the correct location as specified in the contract you signed, and we can both have a successful project, your choice. But you have exactly 30 seconds to decide. The site had gone completely silent. Even the distant jackamers seemed to pause. Mike stared at me for what felt like an eternity before finally muttering, "We'll move the beams." Excellent choice, I replied loud enough for everyone to hear. I'll be back at 3 p.m. to verify the corrections. As I turned to walk away, maintaining a composure I definitely wasn't feeling, I noticed something unexpected. Standing in a semicircle behind me were 5 of my company's veteran carpenters, porn all over 6 feet tall, all with arms crossed, all silently watching the exchange. They had positioned themselves behind me without saying a word, creating a visual message that couldn't be clearer. She's not alone. I hadn't asked for backup. I hadn't even known they were there. But in that moment, I realized something important about leadership. Respect flows both ways. By 3 p.m., the beams were correctly installed. Mike avoided eye contact during my inspection, mumbling only when necessary. The next morning, a different foreman arrived from Granite Steel. No explanation was given, but none was needed. Word of the confrontation spread through the construction community like wildfire. What could have destroyed my authority instead cemented it. The project was completed 2 weeks ahead of our revised schedule, with Granite Steel becoming one of our most cooperative subcontractors at our project completion party. My company's CDO pulled me aside. I heard about what happened with Granite on day 1, he said. Mike's boss called me personally to apologize. It more than worked out, he laughed.